Well, I know somebody that has a lot to say.
Yeah.
While things may be looking up for Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard is still facing a fight on the Hill, as you can see, as the former Democratic congresswoman walks the halls of Congress trying to seal the deal for Director of National Intelligence. Her past remarks about her 2017 visit to Syria, during which she declared now ousted President Bashar al-Assad wasn't an enemy of the U.S., well, these remarks are now coming to the forefront once again.
And while Senate Republicans say they still have questions that need to be answered, there are fierce critics, like former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who say that she's just not capable, quote unquote, of doing the job. So the former National Security Advisor and Ambassador to the United Nations for the United States, John Bolton, joins us now. We should also add he has an op-ed that's just been published in the Wall Street Journal. The title, Kash Patel Doesn't Belong at the FBI. John, welcome. And let me begin with Tulsi Gabbard. She's on the Hill right now. Why do you say that she's incapable or shouldn't be DNI, Director of National Intelligence?
Right. Well, if you look at her statements over the years on a wide variety of subjects, they're not just sort of an extreme perspective in the American political spectrum. They're on a different planet. They reflect an attitude that's that comes from propaganda or simply completely misunderstanding what's at stake. I mean, the examples you just heard one about when she visited the Assad regime in Syria in 2017. Not only did she say that Syria was not a direct threat to the United States, she said at that time that the Syrian government was not responsible for chemical weapons attacks on Syrian citizens in the suburbs of Damascus. Well, Donald Trump believed that the Syrian government was responsible because he retaliated against the Syrians for using chemical weapons. He did it in 2017, and he did it again in 2018. The notion that Syria wasn't a threat to us when they were arm in arm with the Iranian regime and terrorists in Lebanon during the bombings of the U.S. Embassy and the Marine barracks of 1983. Syria has been on the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism since the Carter administration. And of course, it's terrorist threats that threaten Americans. I mean, that's just one example, and there are many others that I think just simply disqualify her from being put in such a sensitive position.
You say that you're concerned about China and Russia, and that they're sitting back going, great, put her in as DNI. That's great for us. We're taking a sigh of relief here.
Right. Look, I think many countries around the world will look at her statements. For example, there's so many to pick from. She said at one point that Russia was justified in invading Ukraine because of U.S.-funded biological weapons facilities in Ukraine. They're going to, Beijing and Moscow, they're going to say this is somebody who is going to be very helpful because of these bizarre positions that she takes, and many of our friends and allies around the world with whom we share intelligence, we rely on their collection for intelligence that's important to us. They're going to be very reluctant, not just to share the intelligence, but to do anything that would call their own sources and methods into question that could put them in harm's way. I think it's a prescription for paralysis in our intelligence community to have somebody whose positions are so off the planet that they would have that effect.
Well, Ambassador, if I could just ask you about the op-ed you've just written for the Wall Street Journal, Kash Patel Doesn't Belong at the FBI. And in particular, Alana, your expertise over the course of many years serving in many administrations is foreign policy. Kash Patel will be nominated to head the FBI. You say during Trump's first term, both Attorney General William Barr and Central Intelligence Director Gina Haspel threatened to resign if Mr. Patel was forced on them as Deputy FBI or CIA Director. What's your concern about Kash Patel in that role?
Well, just remember, I was at the Justice Department in the Reagan administration, too, as an assistant attorney general. I've dealt with the FBI many ways over the years. Look, Patel is, I think, is likely to be more personally loyal to Donald Trump than he is to the Constitution of the United States. The director of the FBI is an incredibly powerful position, central to law enforcement, and somebody who craves the favor of the president, who wants to be his liege man, rather than following the Constitution is a real threat. And Trump has said he wants a retribution presidency, and it calls to mind what Lavrenti Beria, the head of the NKVD, once reportedly said to Joe Stalin: "You show me the man, and I'll show you the crime." That's not the kind of person we want heading the FBI.
John, you know I have to ask this. Terry and I have interviewed you a number of times over, you took on many different positions in our government. But, you know, there's critics out there saying, hey, look, you know, Trump ousted you as NSA. And so what you have to say about Gabbard and others sounds like sour grapes. What do you say to those, that, especially the Republicans, who are inclined to not listen to you?
Sure. Well, the first thing is whether the arguments and the facts I present make sense, whatever my particular motivation is. They don't take those on. They don't address those. But I wasn't fired by Trump. I resigned, and I've tried to explain what I went through so that others would see. And it's not just my opinion. As you quoted a moment ago, Bill Barr said he would be over his dead body before Kash Patel became deputy FBI director, and Gina Haspel, a very distinguished career intelligence official, head of the CIA, put there, having been Mike Pompeo's deputy in Trump's first term, said she would resign if he were given the role of her deputy. These are people who understand what it means to be loyal to the Constitution and loyal to a president at the same time. I don't think Patel understands that.
All right, John Bolton, thank you very much for being with us. And
appreciate it a lot.
Next time we'll get you on what's happening in the Middle East and the changes we're seeing there.
Oh, no doubt there'll be lots of conversations.
Yeah,
yes.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.